Hello, my crafty friends. I sure hope you're having a fabulous day. My name is Robyn Pitts. If you're new to my channel or you're a returning subscriber, welcome. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful 3D lantern using a die by Diamond Press. I'll also share some tips and tricks for how I've customized it. I'll give you an overview of the project and then also share some products that I used. Then we'll start to craft together. So let's get started.
This project is quite sizable. It measures 13 inches from top to bottom and it's 4 3/8 from left to right. This is the first side of my lantern, and I've created this beautiful little poinsettia, and I've also done tons of fussy cutting. There are beautiful floral pieces in this paper collection. On the right here it says winter is not a season, it's a celebration. In the background I have this beautiful printed vellum, and here in the lower right corner I've got this gorgeous deer that is surrounded by beautiful flowers. On the next side we have more beautiful fussy cutting. Here on the top we've got these beautiful die cut snowflakes, and we have these beautiful images. These are all fussy cut from the paper collection. On this next side, we've got this beautiful clock here that's surrounded by pine cones and beautiful roses. Here we have another poinsettia, and you can see all the beautiful layers of this flower. Now I've added the red in it just to give it a pop of color, and it also helps break up the blue. Again, you see more of this beautiful fussy cutting. Here in the center, we've got this gorgeous little fox, more beautiful flowers, and we've got this cute little blue log cabin, and it says, "Walking in a Winter Wonderland." On the last side, we have this beautiful sentiment here that says Winter Journey. We have more of these die-cut snowflakes, and then this beautiful image of a winter robin. Now, I do have lights inside. I'm going to turn off all of the lights so that you can see this when it's illuminated. And here you can see the beautiful illumination of this lantern. Let me turn it around to the other side. I love the contrast of the lattice versus the more open panels here on the side. For my project today, I'm going to be using this beautiful paper collection from Ciao called Winter Journey. Now I used 4 different elements in this paper collection. I used the 8x8 paper collection, the creative pad. This pad is really fun because it has lots of fun tags and sentiments that you can cut out. The 12x12 paper pad, look how beautiful this paper is. And I also used the 12x12 patterns and solids. I also used vellum from an older paper collection by Crafter's Companion. It's called Glittering Snowflake. This vellum paper is so beautiful, and I can't wait to show you how I used it. For my project today, I'm using a die set by Diamond Press. It's called the Christmas Lantern, also the 3D Lantern. Now this die set came out last fall, and it was specifically created for the Diamond Press Grand Marquis, which is their larger die cut machine. You can see here that there are 2 pages of dies, and they are quite large. So you definitely need the Grand Marquis if you're using a Diamond Press machine, or you can use your regular Gemini or any of your anaglyph machines, your spellbinders, whatever it is that you currently have at home. In this die set, it walks you through step by step. In this video, I'm going to give you a high-level overview, but I want to primarily focus on the key things that I made different within my lantern that really set it apart. To begin, you will need to cut out 4 pieces of the bottom base of the lantern and 4 pieces of the top. So on the left here, I have the bottom piece, and you have 2 different options for the insert. You can use a lattice, or you can also use the cardinal, which is this die here. All you have to do is center it, and I have used washi tape to hold the piece in place, and that just makes it much easier as you're going through the die machine. You'll also need to cut out 4 pieces at the top, and it's this piece here. And you also have 2 options when using the top. You have the lattice insert, and there's also a holly insert right here. The third option is to do what I've done here, which is to have no design whatsoever. So I've just filled this with vellum, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. For the bottom of the lantern, you'll need to use this piece, and you want to cut this out 3 times on heavyweight cardstock. Before we talk about the assembly, I want to talk about the inserts, the vellum inserts here. So you can see here I've used this beautiful vellum that's got different colored snowflakes and purples and blues. And so in your 3D lantern set, Diamond Press gives you pre-cut vellum inserts. So they give you a piece like this to go back here. They give you this piece to go right here, and then you also receive a smaller piece that goes on the top right here. Even though you receive these pre-cut vellum pieces, I suggest that you create a template using 110-pound cardstock. This will make it easier when you want to use different paper, like I have in this case with this printed vellum. To attach the vellum, I simply used score tape and I put it around the perimeter of the vellum sheet, and then I also added additional glue on the lattice pieces. Now for these pieces, it's relatively strong. Now for the pieces that don't have lattice and I have a wide open space, I first attached the vellum using the score tape, and then I backed it up, as you can see here, with a heavyweight construction acetate. Now the acetate that I used looks like this, pardon the glare. This is by Crafter's Companion, and it's their heavyweight acetate. This is really good. It's super strong, and I think it's perfect for these lanterns, and it really gives it additional stability, and it doesn't take away from the transparency in the back. For the bottom and top pieces that don't have the lattice, the way I achieved this was I cut out the base with the lattice, and then I used my cutting board to cut right in between these pieces here, and I did it all around on 4 sides. And then when I did that, it gave me this nice wide open space, and here you can see the vellum really well. Okay, so all you have to do is line this up in your paper cutter and then just cut off the edges right here, just all around. It's really simple. And I did that for this top piece as well. Now, you may have to go through with your snippers and just clean up the edges a bit, but that's pretty easy. For the bottom of the lantern, I've cut out 3 pieces of heavyweight cardstock. This is 110 pound, and I have 2 pieces glued together because I want to make the base really sturdy, and this goes in the inside of the lantern to cover up all the tabs. But the circle that I used is from We Are Memory Keepers. It's just basic circle nesting dies, and the size that I used is 2 3/4 inches. This is perfect for including a 2-inch or a 2.5-inch diameter candle that you can just stick in the bottom. Before we start to assemble, I want to tell you how I got the designer paper to line up so perfectly. So I cut out the base and the top part in 110-pound cardstock. I created 4 bottoms and 4 tops. For the designer paper, what I did was I cut out the paper that was slightly smaller than the die. So I had it go slightly over where the score mark was. And so when you do that, you can affix the paper directly onto your piece. So all you have to do is fold in your tab, attach the designer cardstock, and then any extra piece that you have on the sides, you can simply cut them off. Let me show you on this piece here. So again, I cut out the designer cardstock and I cut it just slightly over the score line. I attached it on, it fit perfectly, and then any excess I just cut off on the side. To save time, I have already assembled 3 of the panels to our lantern. So we have 2 pieces with the lattice, and then we have 2 pieces that will have the vellum. we're going to assemble the last piece together. Before you start gluing, I strongly suggest that you fold and burnish along all of the score lines. It's so much easier to line up your project and to glue things together once everything is folded and burnished. So to add the top, I'm just going to take glue and spread it on this last tab here. Okay. And then we're going to line this up. And you want to take your bone folder and burnish. So your piece should look just like this. Before we attach the panels to the bottom, I want to attach this beautiful snowflake border. See how delicate it looks? Now I created this using an edgeable die. This is an older die by Crafter's Companion. It's Gemini and it's called Dancing Snowflakes. So I'm just going to attach that at the very top of my lantern just before the bend. So you can do that if you like. You can also attach something like this before you put your decorative paper on, but I like it on the outside because I think it ties in nicely these side panels here in blue. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down and then we'll start gluing the panels to the base. To assemble the lantern, you want to grab your base. And this is a piece where I've glued two of them together so it's really sturdy. And then you're going to turn your panels on the outside and you're going to glue each of the bottom tabs to the base just like so. Okay, so I'm going to glue one with you and then we can go ahead and glue all four of them down. So I'm just going to add glue to this tab here. I'm going to align the tab to the base. You want to make sure the corners are aligned perfectly and then glue down the tab and make sure you burnish that well. So now we have the first panel glued down. Grab your next panel. Okay, so continue adding the other 3 panels down and then we'll come back for the next step. Now that we have all the panels glued on, take your base and glue it on top, just like so. Now that we have our base glued down, we can begin to attach the panels together. So you want to grab 2 panels, you're going to add glue to this tab here, and then you're going to glue it to the second panel. And you only want to glue it up to this point here. Okay, so let's add glue to this panel here. You want to make sure you get an ample amount. Okay, so let's glue these 2 pieces together. I'm going to start at the bottom, and then I'm taking my left hand and just pushing in on the tab. Now you can also turn this around. Use your bone folder to attach that panel. Okay, so we have one side glued on. You want to make sure that it's glued all the way to this score line here. Now you want to put glue on this tab and we're going to glue it down just like so. Okay, so you want to repeat that on the remaining 3 sides. Now that we have all 4 panels glued down, we are going to glue the top part together. And so you want to put glue here on this tab and the top tab, and you're going to glue it to its neighbor, just like so. I don't think you need to see me do that. So you can go ahead and glue these 4 pieces on, just like so. So leave the top part open. Okay, and you want to make sure that you burnish as well as you can, just to make sure that there's a nice strong adhesion. One thing that I forgot to mention is this top tab here is a little bit wider than this glue area here, so you may want to just take a smidge off of the top 4 tabs, just a little bit, so that when you glue it together, you won't see the tabs sticking through. Okay? So my lantern is fully assembled. Now the fun begins and I get to decorate it. So I have fussy cut several embellishments and I'm going to decorate this and I'll come back once it's completed.
This is my completed 3D lantern, and I just love the way it turned out. Hopefully I've inspired you with new and creative ideas. If you like this video, please leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now, and happy crafting.